Good evening and welcome to the Guilderland Central School District's Board of Education meeting. Today is March 25th. Can everyone please silence their cell phones and stand for the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and we'll begin tonight's meeting with a special award.
All right, so tonight we have the pleasure of recognizing one of our very own. Tonight we're going to hear about an award from the New York State Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, a mouthful, and our Capital Zone Secondary Physical Education Teacher of the Year for 2025. And to say a little more about this, I have Allison Relier coming to the microphone.
My name is Allison Relier, and I'm here this evening as a member of the Awards Committee from the Capital Zone of New York State AFERD. As Dr. Wiles mentioned, New York State AFERD is the Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, and it offers so much to their members. They provide professional development opportunities through zone and state level conferences, along with virtual seminars, provide leadership opportunities, teacher support, grants, and other awards. The association leadership organizes advocacy initiatives with members of the Board of Regents, the Commissioner of Education, our legislative representatives, and the governor. We are a powerful voice to stress the value of quality health and physical education programs. Now that I've told you a little bit about the association, let's get to why we're really here. The reason why we're here is to honor our 2024-2025 Secondary Physical Education Teacher of the Year, Tamara Bringleson-Eppert. If you could please join me, Tamara. Tamara received her bachelor's degree from SUNY Albany and Sage College of Albany in 2011, where she was the salutatorian. She was the founding member and president of Sage College of Albany's Physical Education Majors Club. She received her master's in physical education from Canisius College in 2014. Tamara began her career teaching PE and health at the Brighter Choice Charter Middle School for Girls. Tamara was then hired by the Guilderland Central School District, thank you, where she began as a traveling elementary PE teacher. A few years later, Tamara joined the high school staff, and we couldn't be happier. Within the Guilderland Central School District, she has been the varsity girls head volleyball coach, JV softball coach, Best Buddies Club advisor, and has chaperoned various events throughout the year. She has attended many school-wide events such as plays and musicals. She is a member of the GTA and the GHS PTSA. She has represented the Unified Experience, focusing on UPE in the Guilderland schools, and she is a high school dodgeball tournament volunteer and the best MC of our cornhole tournament we host. She has also been involved with Girls in Sports Day, class fundraisers, Superintendent's Day activities, and Unified PE bowling and Valley Cats field trips. Within the Capital Zone, Tamara has been a Future Professionals representative, a conference committee volunteer, and a virtual PE workshop presenter. She is the18 of the Sandra G. Morley PE Elementary Middle School Leadership Awards, which is a huge undertaking recognizing over 18 students each year. 800 students this year. And Tamara, as a sidebar, decided to become one of the co-committee chairs for our new Middle School Leadership Awards that was held here at Guilderland on March 15th. Tamara consistently attends the CZ local conference at Sage College and New York State AFERD's annual state conference, where she has been a presenter and a presider. Tamara was the recipient of the HVCC Sage Transfer of Excellence Scholarship Award, the Otto V. Gunther Scholarship Award, and a recipient of the Two Donors Choose projects. Within the Capital Zone, she is a 2-time grant winner and has received the Amazing Person Award in 2023. Working as a physical educator, she values the importance of utilizing the New York State learning standards, which are posted in her classroom, and help guide her curriculum and teaching. She focuses on developing her students' motor skills in order for them to be comfortable and confident enough to participate in lifetime activities, guiding them to maintain a healthy activity level after high school. Tamara promotes physical fitness and frequently discusses the why throughout her lessons as to have her students value everything that comes out of a quality PE program. This includes learning how to become and stay healthy and create their own opportunities for physical activity and enjoyment. She also encourages them to be proficient in all of their abilities and motor development skills to practice what it means to be a responsible, respectful member of the PE class and society as a whole. She adapts instruction and works tirelessly to meet the varying needs of her high school students. She says, everyone that walks through the gym doors is at a different ability and comfort level. My job is to get them where they need to be in order for them to value and practice a healthy, active lifestyle. Through a positive approach to teaching, I foster an environment where students are comfortable to practice their skills, cooperate with others, and feel safe in my teaching space. She wholeheartedly believes that stressing the importance of working cooperatively as a team, being inclusive, and accepting differences is crucial to a thriving class environment. She values the importance of treating her students with respect and kindness and builds trust and positive relationships with them all. Tamara motivates her students, ensuring that they have fun and love coming to PE class. She provides engaging games and activities and utilizes their music choices by making individual playlists for each class. She is a positive, strong role model for students, often participating with them in class. Her director of HPEA, Dave Austin, states, she maintains a focus and desire for excellence and improvement, which consistently improves those around her. She is a well-respected individual by her students, athletes, colleagues, administrators, and the community. Two counselors, Ashley Kaplan and Lynn Baumgardner, state, Coach B regularly consults with the school counselors at Guilderland High School to explore creative ways to support her students. This proactive approach not only demonstrates her dedication to the well-being of those around her, but also showcases her strong collaborative spirit. On a personal note, Tamara, I truly enjoy working with you and having you as a member of our PE family at GHS. You are creative, reflective, always willing to work hard, offer help, and are an incredible friend. You connect with students and colleagues alike and are a respected professional. Not to mention, you have one of the best countdown voices that we have ever heard. I am so proud of you, Tamara, and I'm honored to work with you each and every day. The Capital Zone is extremely proud to honor you as their 2025 Physical Education Teacher of the Year at the secondary level.
Thank you, everyone. You're amazing.
Congratulations again. Dave, that was a good hire. And Dave, would you like to move forward with our showcase of students?
I can't take credit for that hire. She was already hired by the time I started here.
Regan,
But
thank you. All right, good job, Regan.
and that's Mr. Johnson's over there. He's going to win that one.
The board ultimately approved her.
But Tamara's an outstanding phys ed teacher and coach, so we're very lucky to have her on our team, and we're very proud of you. She's my office neighbor, and proud to have her on our team. So congratulations, Tamara. One of my favorite parts of the year, I get to come brag, and we're going to do some bragging tonight. All right. We've got some winter athletes here that did some really, really good things this past season. Tonight, we're going to recognize team sectional champions from the winter, New York State Public High School Athletic Association qualifiers and New York State Federation qualifiers from the winter, and some New York State champions, and we do have some of those, which is really, really neat. So athletes that you will see tonight are some of the best in their respective sports in Section 2 and some of the best in the entire New York State. Incredible and certainly worthy of celebration, which is what we're going to do tonight. Athletes and coaches, we're proud of you. It's not easy to go up against the best of the best in the league, in our league, Suburban Council, one of the most difficult leagues in the state, in Section 2 and in New York State. But you've displayed incredible drive to be among the best in your sport. You've shown that the state of Guilderland athletics is strong, and you have shown that the Guilderland athletics will continue to be among the best athletic programs around. We have a very large, impressive group of individuals to recognize tonight, which speaks to the amount of success that we had this past winter. So as I get through each sport, I'll have you come up and we'll have you stand over to my left here, okay? And I'll embarrass you a little bit and brag a little bit, okay? And then we'll do a couple pictures at the end like we usually do. We do have a gymnast that I want to talk about. So let's bring up our gymnasts and our coaches. So I think they're here.
Other side there.
Why don't you guys just hang to my right because it's closer. Perfect. Sophomore Simona Scavio performed an outstanding routine on the floor, placing her in 6th place at sectionals. Her 6th place honor earned her a spot at the NISFA Gymnastics Championship meet, where she placed 22nd among the state's best gymnasts on the floor. Congratulations to Simona and coaches Kira Steverson and Kristen McNaney on an outstanding season. Nice job. We'll have you come back up at the end, but right now you're good to step up. We have a bowler here, so come on up, Junior Jay Mendelson and Coach Frank Cakello. There's Jay. Frank's somewhere. He's coming. Junior Jay Mendelson placed first at this year's Class A individual bowling sectionals. He qualified for the Section 2 composite bowling team at States, which was held in Syracuse. Jay finished 5th at States with close to 100 bowlers from all over the state. This season, Jay finished as the Suburban Council Bowler of the Year, and he also bowled 2 perfect 300 games, which is pretty outstanding, and his Guilderland bowling team finished as Suburban Council champions. Congratulations to Jay Mendelson and Coach Cakello on an amazing season this winter. Okay, we'll transition to the boys indoor track and field team. We'll start with the boys, and that's led by coaches Chris Scanlon, Dave Kozier, and their incredible staff. So come on up, boys. I think we got Jack here, Langston here, right? Is Will here? Don't know if Will is. We'll still talk about him, though. I'll start with Will Smittis. Will qualified for the States in the 3200 and finished 13th overall at States. Jack Larson. Jack qualified for the NISFA State Championship meet in the 300-meter dash and long jump. He placed 15th in the long jump and 23rd in the 300. Langston placed 3rd at Section 2 state qualifier meet to qualify for the NISFA State Championship meet in the 55-meter hurdles. Congratulations on an incredible season for the boys and the coaches from indoor track. You guys can have a seat. We'll call you back up at the end for a picture. Let's go to girls indoor track. If you're on the girls indoor track team, come on up here. Again, led by coaches Chris Scanlon, Dave Kozier, and their incredible staff. Oh, Chris, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Coach Scanlon. All right. And this is becoming a tradition for the girls track team to be here. They've been frequent visitors here at the Board of Ed meetings, and for good reason. We'll start with some individual accomplishments, starting with Alexa Kozier. Alexa qualified for states in the 1,000 and finished 20th overall in New York State. And as I call your name, if you don't mind, just wave. Braylon Cornell. Braylon qualified for states in the 1,500 and finished 29th overall in New York State. Ariana Mills. Ari was the Section 2 Division I champion in the pole vault, one of 9 sectional champions here on this girls' track team, 9. So we're just getting started there. Saida Asabahi was the Section 2 Division I champion in the 55-meter dash and 300-meter dash. She qualified for the state championship meet in the 300-meter dash, where she placed 6th in the state and 7th in the federation. Kirsten Barnhart, also a Section 2 champion, Section 2 Division I champion in the triple jump. She qualified for the NISFA State Championship meet in the triple jump and the long jump. She placed third in the state and federation in the triple jump and 10th in the state and federation in the long jump. Next up is Tatum Kramer, also a section champion. She was a sectional Division I champion in the long jump. She qualified for the NISFA State Championship meet in the long jump and triple jump, where she placed second in the state and federation in both events. Parker Steele. Parker was the Section 2 Division I champion in the 55-meter hurdles. She qualified for the NISFA State Championship meet in the 55-meter hurdles and placed fourth in the state and fifth in the federation. Addison Velacoop won sectionals in the 600-meter and 1,000-meter. She qualified for states in the 600 and finished second in New York State and third overall, setting a school and a Section 2 record. Also want to recognize a few relay teams, starting with the girls 4x200 sectional team. And that's Evan Burnett, Marin Vroman, Kirsten Barnhart, and Saida Asabahi. They were Section 2 Division I champions in the 4x200 relay. We also sent the 4x200 relay team to states made up of Tatum Kramer, Parker Steele, Kirsten Barnhart, and Saida Asabahi. They competed at the state championship meet in the 4x200 relay and placed sixth in the state and seventh in the federation. Last but certainly not least for relays, we have the girls 4x800 relay team made up of Julia Beyer, Alexa Kozier, Braylon Cornell, and Addison Velacoop. They qualified for states where they placed second overall in a great battle. They just missed winning states by 0.04 of a second. This year, these four girls ran a school record time of 9 minutes, 8 seconds, which is the fifth fastest time in the country and the eighth fastest time in Section 2 history. Last but not least, the entire group of athletes and coaches, the Guilderland Girls Indoor Track and Field team, three-peated as Division I champions at sectionals by scoring 164 points. That's 43 points higher than the second-place team, which was Shenendehowa. Again, a complete team effort. The girls scored in all 16 events, winning 9 of those events, as I mentioned a short time ago. Congratulations to the girls indoor track team and coaches on an outstanding season. Next up, we're going to bring the boys and girls Nordic ski team, led by Coach Brigham McCutcheon and Kyle Kapazinski. And we'll start with the girls first. Aisling Trodden qualified for the NISFA Nordic Ski Championship meet as an alternate. So congratulations, Aisling. And next up, the boys. Guilderland's Landon Keenel and Nathaniel Burke recently capped off a historic season. At sectionals, the Guilderland boys cross-country ski team finished on the podium in second place for the second consecutive season. And Landon and Nathaniel were big reasons why, both qualifying for the NISFA cross-country ski championship in the process. At the state championship meet at Gore Mountain, the boys both had top 10 finishes. Nathaniel placed 7th and Landon placed 3rd. The two would go on to represent Section 2 by participating in the 3x3 relay at the state meet. The Section 2 team, composed of Forrest Slingerland from Glens Falls, Landon, and Nathaniel, were the first team to cross the finish line, winning a NISFA championship. Congratulations to Landon Keenel and Nathaniel Burke and coaches for being crowned state champions. Congratulations. And last but not least, we have a swimmer. So Isak Berkanovich and coaches, come on up. Gilderville Boys Swimming also has a lot to be proud of, led by coaches Josh Wallen and Duncan Genscher. And Isak Berkanovich was crowned Division I sectional champion in the 50-yard freestyle and the 100-yard breaststroke. He actually qualified to compete in a total of 5 events at the state championship meet. He chose to compete in the 50-meter freestyle and the 100-meter freestyle. Isak capped off a record-breaking season at the state meet at Ithaca College. In the 50-meter freestyle, he posted a time of 20.52 seconds to win the state championship in that event. This is the first time ever a Guilderland boys swimmer has won a state championship. We'll give him a round of applause for that. I also want to add that he wasn't done. He also competed in the 100-meter event, freestyle event, where he would place second. So not only did he win a state title, but he was also state runner-up in another event. So congratulations to ESAC and the coaches on a historic season, state champion. We are extremely proud. Nice job, buddy. Lot to brag about. That is the end of our list. But like we usually do, I'd like to grab just 2 photos, if I can, from those of you standing or sitting behind the table, if you want to stand up. And we'll do 2 pictures. We'll have bowlers, swimmers, gymnasts, and skiers. Why don't you guys come up first with coaches, and we'll do picture number 1, and then the track teams will come up for the second photo. Okay?
Yeah, we should squish together.
See everybody behind you. So just
I'm
go
only
back
5
right
feet
up.
tall, guys. Sorry.
Back up right to the table.
Great job, guys.
Right.
So,
You guys are much bigger than us. Nice job.
you can be in front of it. You really
I
get
know.
it.
That's fun.
Look at Rachel.
Doesn't have a,
Yeah, they are. Rachel,
they're all tall. She's got a 4
got
inches.
a little bump.
I know.
I can't see. Further short.
Oh, jeez.
1, 2, 3. All right. There you go.
Great job again.
All right, nice job.
Nice.
Thank you, guys.
You gotta go back.
All coaching, Michaela. All coaching.
These guys, the tall guys.
Oh, yeah. You guys are probably.
Tell me about it, Dave.
Oh, sorry.
How about
We can
stilts?
just bring them over for
We'll do stilts.
Great job, Addison.
Nice job.
Congratulations.
We're going to take a knee, guys. Gals, okay? I know. Some of us might have
I would say Langston is still a foot taller than everybody else. Little people on the edge.
I'll move that back in a second.
Poor knees. They're poor knees. I know.
You guys split from like I've been on the trigger.
No, she does that.
Chris, you should do that. Can someone go up there? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, team.
All right. Good job.
Great. Okay. Perfect. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. That's good.
Great. We're good. That's it? Good. All right, great.
All right. Nice job. Thanks, Dave.
I am confused about the pictures.
Well, we're going to do Phil's talk.
Yes, and the student report. I don't think they're here.
I don't-
I don't either. I'll just confirm after everybody heads out.
Then I would invite Sheila. I told him to give us an update.
Okay.
This group can ask questions.
Okay.
And then just work your way.
We're right under it.
Well, that's the thing. I can't tell if these are the people who are here or Linda. Hey, Linda.
I'll check.
Everyone is here. Yes. The blue sheets are here. Okay. I know you explained it to me, and like. Okay.
Okay, so it thinned out a little. It thinned out.
We'll just give folks a couple minutes to head out.
Here we go.
Yeah, I don't see them, so we'll just.
Yeah,
Do you want me to say it or skip it?
I would just go
Skip
right
it.
to Phil's talk.
Okay. It's Assemblyman.
Assembly or something.
Oh, Linda's capital project.
Thank you. Okay, and we'd like to invite Assembly Member Phil Steck up to the microphone.
I didn't think you'd get to me so soon. So I was busy in the back doing what candidates do, which is yuck it up with voters and stuff. But in any event, education is one of the most important things, if I would say the most important thing in the district that I represent. People move to Colony, Niskayuna, and Guilderland for the schools. And so I remember there was a big movement led by former Governor Cuomo to give aid to private schools. And a lot of the members were being targeted with mail, phone calls, this and that, to try and move them to support that legislation. They never ventured in my district because their polling must have shown them that public education was what people were interested in. So we prioritize that over all things. So people are always interested in the budget. What I find in my now almost 12 years in the Assembly is that people do not understand the New York State budget process. Maybe my mother used to teach, I think it was 7th grade New York State history, so maybe she understood it, and maybe the teachers that teach that understand it, but a lot of people do not understand it, and here's why. Our understanding of how budgets work is based on the United States Constitution, which almost every other state in the Union follows, except one, the one we happen to live in. And the New York State does not have legislative budgeting like they do in the federal government. Apart from present anomalies, what normally happens is that the president is simply a proposer and the budget is made by the Congress, and then the president, if he doesn't like it, can veto it. New York is the opposite. New York, in the early 20th century, because we are a state with a large immigrant population, we've also always had a tremendous gap between rich and poor in this state. So the so-called reformers in New York City, they felt that the state legislature, if left to its own devices, would give too much money away to poor and immigrants. So they created a reform, so-called, which we have, called executive budgeting. And the way the New York State budget works is it's a governor's budget. We can only subtract or delete. Now, you may know that from time to time we do add to the budget, many times to support public education. So how do we do that if the Constitution says we can only subtract or delete? Well, the way you do it is by threatening to vote the whole budget down. And when you do that, it creates a negotiation between the Senate, the governor, and the Assembly, what they used to call the three men in a room. That's why we have it. It's a byproduct of the executive budgeting process. That's why that doesn't exist in the federal government or other states. So anyhow, what the leaders of the legislature will say to the governor is, if you don't do this, we're voting the budget down. Now, obviously to do that, it has to be something really important. If public education is underfunded, that is something that's really important to the Assembly, and it would be grounds for voting down the budget. And that's how we've gotten increases over the years to the point where we now have fully funded foundation aid. And we did a few years ago eliminate that, I forgot what the assessment was called, where they took money away from the wealthier school districts in order to balance the budget under Governor Patterson due to the financial crisis. I forget the terminology because it's old by now. But we have fully, yeah, I'm sure you remember this. So we have fully funded education. This year's budget, I would expect that when you got your school run so-called from the governor's budget, the final budget is not going to be that different. There's been less disagreement with the governor this year than I can remember. One of the things that isn't supposed to happen in the budget is that we're not supposed to do policy in the budget. We're just supposed to do money. But when you have certain powerful governors, what they want to do is they use the fact that you can't vote down the budget very easily to put policy disagreements with the legislature in the budget and dare them to vote it down, which of course they don't. Probably one of the more colorful examples is when Governor Cuomo named the Tappan Zee Bridge after his father. That would have never passed in a standalone bill, so he put it in the budget. So actually, to really get informed on where we kind of are in the budget, you can go to the New York State Assembly website, and you can see the Assembly's proposed changes to the governor's budget, which I now have right in front of me. And you will see there isn't a lot of difference between what the governor proposed and what the Assembly proposes. If we go to what we call the formula-based aid, just to use one example, under the Assembly proposal, state funding for school aid would total $38.5 billion, an increase of $1.1 billion over the executive proposal, and $2.7 billion over school year 2024 to 2025. So that's sort of an Assembly wish list. We don't know if we will get more than the governor's budget. We probably will, but by how much, I cannot say. So I think it's a good budget year, but looming in the distance, of course, are some very formidable storm clouds. We don't know what the is going to come from the federal government, and certainly there are areas where federal cuts will impact the state greatly. So I want to say the budget is a thing where what happens in one area affects another. So let's say the federal government cuts Medicaid. Medicaid is a joint federal-state program. That is money that we have to make up at the state level, because in our state, the philosophy of Medicaid has always been that it's a health insurance program for people who can't afford health insurance. That is not the way it's treated in a lot of states, but that's how it's treated in New York. We have a very robust Medicaid program. So if those cuts happen, even if education were held steady, it could adversely impact education. So I am told that the governor is already planning a special session to deal with any adverse consequences of the federal budget. Fortunately, what I'm hearing is it's about exactly at the time when I had planned to take a vacation. So I only bought the first leg of it, and I've stopped until I find out what might happen. So if you want to see if there's any particular education program that you're interested in and how it fared, whether if you thought it was being cut and maybe the legislature or the Assembly wanted to restore it, you can see that in the Assembly changes to the budget, which is fully posted it's called Assembly Recommended Changes to the Education Budget, and you can find it under Assembly Reports. It's right there. It's the first one listed. So you can get answers to your questions pretty easily, actually. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I can't promise that the budget is gigantic if you've ever seen it when it's printed. Yes, I will tell you right now, I do not read the entire budget. It's impossible. So the way the legislature works is we have committees, and they are the experts. The Education Committee is the experts in the area of education. I am chair of alcoholism and substance abuse, lucky me, and we sit at the mental health table. So that's my area of greatest expertise. So, but I will try to answer any questions that you have.
I think we're all set. Thank you.
Well, that's easy.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay, and I think we're going to jump into public comment and start with the folks who are here. Amanda Steiger. I do have to read my little blurb, sorry. The Board of Education encourages public participation at its meetings and recognizes its responsibility to hear public comment. An acknowledgement of the public comment, either orally or in writing, will be provided as appropriate after the meeting. As a matter of practice, the Board of Education does not engage in dialogue during the public comment period. There will be 2 opportunities at each regular board meeting for public comments to be heard. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes each. And additionally, we have 30 minutes allotted at the beginning, so the first public comment period, and then 15 minutes at the end for public comment. Although the Board of Education welcomes comments about programs offered by the district and other aspects of the district's operation, the board expressly prohibits public comment that would infringe on a particular person's or student's privacy rights, would be disruptive of the board meeting, or create some safety issue. Persons who desire to speak to the board about specific issues relating to employees or other confidential matters should request an executive session in a letter to the board president, briefly outlining the issues to be discussed.
Okay. Distinguished members of the board, I want to start by saying thank you for choosing to bridge some of the equity gap in restoring our librarian to her current hours. Altamont is a small, tight-knit village community that rallies together. You have heard from many third grade Altamont parents, teachers, and community members, including our former mayor, advocating for you to do the right thing for our children. The incoming 4th grade at AES has 49 kids, which would mean 1 class of 24 and 1 class of 25. This should be corrected on the section spreadsheet to reflect 24.5 instead of 24. Our district established class size guidelines years ago based on a vision of education that no longer reflects today's reality. Classrooms look different, and especially so the last 5 years. Within our inclusion model, we are integrating and mainstreaming more students with significant learning and behavioral needs. I'm sure exacerbated by the fact that special education positions are becoming more difficult to fill, and over the last 5 to 10 years, the diagnosis of various learning needs has drastically increased. We're expecting teachers to support a wider spectrum of learners, and then in this budget, drastically increase their class sizes or remove their TAs, leading to burnout. We can't cram 25 students into a room with such diverse demands and expect quality learning to happen. We need to keep the class sizes low to manage these changing classrooms. We must be future ready by valuing and investing in the support our teachers and students need, smaller class sizes and TAs. The research overwhelmingly supports this. I respect from a human perspective why the district is trying to reduce staff only through attrition. However, the district's primary responsibility is to educate children. Even in these tough times, the budget should reflect that. Those working in the classroom and class sections should not face budget reductions, as they are essential. At the last meeting, you asked for suggestions. I emailed a suggestion regarding the number of administrative supervisors we have at the secondary level. I taught 8th grade for many years in a New York State inner city middle school. We had building principals and teachers who received a department chair stipend. Anything more than that seems like a luxury we can't afford when we're cutting basic needs like TAs and smaller student-teacher ratios. Lastly, I am entrusting you with 6 irreplaceable hours of my child's day, his curiosity, his potential, his childhood. I want to feel good about how he's spending that time. In a class of 24 or 25, I don't. I'm left frustrated and uneasy, picturing the reality, him silently waiting for a moment of guidance that's stretched too thin to reach him. If additional funds cannot be found elsewhere, I respectfully ask that one of the 3 unassigned budgeted for bubble sections be allocated to the 4th grade at Altamont next year. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Gunnar Wilesey.
Hello everyone, my name is Gunnar Wilson and I'm in 3rd grade at Altamont Elementary. Thank you for having me here tonight. I want to talk about why it's important to keep our class sizes small. Sometimes my classmates and I have trouble staying focused, especially when there are a lot of kids in the room. When the class is big, it's really noisy and I get distracted easily. It's hard to hear the teacher and understand why we're learning. But when the class is small, it's quieter and I can pay attention better. In a small class, the teacher can help me more when I don't understand something. They have more time to talk to me personally and answer my questions in a big class. In a big class, I'm afraid my questions won't get answered, and we won't learn them, and we won't learn more. The students who need extra help in ELA won't get as much help as they are now, and they won't be able to get through the ELA test and our school will lose. If we change to 2 classes instead of 3, we won't be able to remember all the names because there will be so many people in the class. In a small class, I get to know my classmates better. We can work together and help each other out. It feels like a big family, and I feel more confident and happy. I think teachers are going to be stressed more. I like all my teachers, and I don't want that to happen to them. We barely have room to sit on the floor during reading. We couldn't fit any more kids in my classroom. I don't know where we would fit 7 more desks. Also, only 2 people are allowed to go to the bathroom at the same time. We might have to wait to go to the bathroom or not at all. So please keep our class sizes small. It helps me learn better and stay focused. Thank you for you all listening.
Thank you, Gunnar.
Hi, I'm Amanda Wilsey. With Gunner's class size possibly increasing over 40% in size, we are concerned with the amount of support teachers are able to provide each student. Keeping smaller class sizes will provide the one-on-one time teachers need to make sure students are keeping up with the lessons. Students tend to feel more comfortable asking for help when they know the teacher has time for them. While we know the standardized testing that begins in 3rd grade isn't a competition, it can be a critical point for identifying learning disabilities. These tests help educators identify students who may need further evaluation and support. With that evaluation often taking months or years, 4th grade is not the place to increase class size so drastically. While I've assured Gunnar that he will be able to go to the bathroom when needed, he does make a good point about transition times and the difficulty of managing these times with so many young people in a small space. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight, and we sincerely hope you take our points into consideration when making your final decisions.
Thank you. Emily DiBartolomeo. Linda, I just want to confirm you're keeping track of the 30 minutes. Thank you.
Well done on the pronunciation. Hi, my name is Emily DiBartolomeo, and I know a lot of you, and I know a lot of you. I have 3 kids in the district, and I doubt I'm going to say anything that hasn't been said already and as eloquently as that young gentleman. But I know that every single one of you is going to do your best for our kids. That's why you are on the school board, and that's why we are all here. So I hope that you will listen to our collective voice and listen to the words that we are saying and the letters that we are writing. And I know you can go back to the drawing board, and I know you guys will figure out a better way to pass this budget, because we cannot do without fewer TAs in our 1st grade classrooms or smaller class sizes, larger class sizes at our elementary schools. I know the budget is ugly, and it isn't fun to do those sort of things or make those decisions, but the budget should not be balanced on the back of our youngest learners. Thank you very much for your time, and appreciate being able to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley Castellana.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ashley Castellana, and I want to share some thoughts on the decision to eliminate the support provided by the first grade teaching assistants. I think that I provide a unique perspective as I was a tenured second grade teacher until last year, when I left my lifelong profession of choice because of this same issue, a lack of teaching support for the increasing needs of our student population. I'm not going to relitigate the need for these resources for first grade, as we are all on the same side. Superintendent Wiles and several previous speakers have articulated the invaluable services that the teaching assistants provide to the first grade. In difficult times, we must make difficult choices. These choices must not simply be what gets cut and what gets saved this year. Rather, we need to start with the product we provide, an outstanding educational experience, and then we find a way through innovation and efficiency to pay for it. What we should never do is allow the cuts to be in the muscle of the institution. I would strongly argue that removing first grade TAs is cutting into the muscle at one of the most impactful periods of a child's growth and development. I understand the numbers are tough, but we need to look at our school through a business lens as well. Our product is a quality education and a safe and nurturing environment. These budget cuts to muscle dramatically affect that. The outcome, a continued drain in enrollment. I, like many who I have been in discussions with, are considering alternatives to the Guilderland School District. While the population of Guilderland, both in headcount and school-aged children, continues to increase, and while I don't have access to your numbers, the first item noted to support the budget is a decrease in student enrollment. Why would one listening to this and the previous open forums on the budget and this specific topic of cutting first grade teaching assistants choose Guilderland, unless they had no other alternative? Again, I've been in many discussions with other parents who are doing interviews with the various private schools, not because they want to, but because they feel they have no other choice. They want their children in a public system with their neighbors, but the combination of budgetary cuts like those suggested here and other issues are forcing their hand. Ladies and gentlemen, they are not running to something, they are running from something, and that thing is our district. We can't continue to cut into muscle. We have to improve our value proposition to the families in Guilderland and keep those children in our care. For the issue at hand, not only does cutting 8 teaching assistants not solve a problem, but rather it exacerbates an even bigger one. I implore you to rethink this decision and further to examine our capture rate of school-aged children and how we can increase that percentage so that we can secure the funds for our children and grow and develop in their neighborhood. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Emily Minu.
Curse you tall people. Stinking thing. Hi, my name is Emily Mino. I teach 6th grade in the district and am the president of the Guilderland Teachers Association. Here tonight to talk about the budget, like everybody else. Look, those of you who know me know that there are very few committees in this district that I haven't sat on at some point between, in the last 25 plus years. So I'm keenly aware of what it takes to put a budget together and the difficult conversations that this half of the table and the people at the table behind me have gone through to get to this point. But I'm also keenly aware that under-supported staff leads to accelerated burnout. And we're already in education facing teachers who burn out quickly because they're not supported, PPS staff who needs more, further resources and all of those cuts that impact us directly. So I guess my ask tonight of the board is that if we come into some windfall, whether we go into a fund balance, whether we are awarded some grant, whether there's a restoration of funding or somebody hits the jackpot, after we do our happy dance collectively first, I'm going to ask the board that you put that money, put those FTEs back where they're going to impact kids directly, every day, each and every day. Those are things that are felt immediately from students, immediately from staff, and ultimately are going to allow us to continue to thrive, both from a staff perspective and from a student perspective. So that would be my ask of the board, should we face that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Carrie McEwen, and I'm so sorry. All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie McEwen. You pronounced it right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Over the past 4 years, I have had the pleasure of teaching first grade at Pine Bush Elementary. In that time, I have worked with a variety of wonderful teaching assistants. They are invaluable because they help to foster a safe and effective learning environment for our students. Therefore, I am here in hopes that you reconsider the cutting of first grade teaching assistants in the district. Our first grade curriculum, along with the New York State standards, set many high expectations for our students, and there is tremendous growth that we expect these 5 to 7-year-olds to endure throughout the year. This would be difficult to achieve without the support from first grade teaching assistants. They play a vital role in helping to differentiate needs and making small group learning more accessible. They also give individualized, targeted attention in the moments when teachers are unable to, which is key in helping all students learn. At times, struggling first grade students are not provided with specialized services due to staffing issues and data requirements. In response, our teaching assistants help provide that additional tiered support in reading, writing, and math. They work with learners in a smaller, more individualized setting, which is something a classroom teacher isn't always able to do. The need for teaching assistants is more pressing than ever as they significantly enhance students' learning experiences and overall development. Without this support, we risk having more students fall behind, which can lead to challenges for years to come, especially with the increasing class sizes and reduction in reading staff at Pine Bush. It is also important to acknowledge that our students are learning how to regulate their emotions in addition to the rigorous academic curriculum. Classroom teachers provide calming strategies for students, and often our teaching assistants help students use them effectively. If necessary, teaching assistants also facilitate breaks for students so that they can quietly step away from the classroom environment and regroup calmly. Without teaching assistants, first grade teachers will be unable to provide students with the breaks they may need outside the classroom. It should also be noted that teaching assistants are relied on when behaviors escalate and the class needs to evacuate. In these instances, they take the class to a safe space while the teacher and crisis team support that student. It is a reality that challenging behaviors are becoming more prevalent in primary classrooms, and getting rid of our support staff may worsen this. A study with the National Institute of Health showed that students with lower academic performance had significant greater social, emotional, and behavioral difficulties. That same research supported the idea that providing younger students with interventions can have a positive effect on their behaviors. Therefore, it is likely that by eliminating our teaching assistants, who are again our main source of early intervention, that we will see an increase in student behaviors and a wider achievement gap. In conclusion, the first grade teaching assistants in our district help to promote success in our younger students. I urge the board to think of the long-term effects there will be from losing that support in our classrooms. Thank you for considering the importance of this matter.
Thank you. Donna Baranka.
Dear board members, yeah, I'm all right. Thanks. These are just some of my TAs with me. Dear members of the board, I'm writing this letter as a 30-year TA of the Guilderland Central School District. My love of working with children compelled me to write to you. I have a great concern for our younger learners. The proposed elimination of first grade TAs will have a great impact in their learning. I have been in first grade now, a TA, for 10 years. We all work hand in hand with the first grade teachers to support these learners. The academic support we provide is across all subjects. We do small reading groups, phonics, and help with comprehension. You would also see us doing math rotations or helping struggling students. We put small groups during writing workshop to give needed support. Also, whether we are doing social studies or science, we also assist them with the reading and writing of those subjects. Finally, we are there to help with social or emotional issues that come up in various ways, such as taking a short walk and to listen or either support or diffuse a problem. We help in making the classroom a positive, safe place focused on learning. Please reconsider cutting the funding first grade TAs during this difficult time and continue to have our young students receive this important support. Thank you.
Thank you. How are we doing on time, Linda?
We have 15 more minutes.
Okay.
Don't forget, 12 more minutes. Don't forget the 3 people at the beginning are here on the agenda.
Oh, okay. So, who should be next?
12 minutes, 8 to 8 to 6.
8:20. 8:20 is the 30 minutes.
8:20 is the 30 minutes.
So we have 12 minutes left.
Okay. But who should be next on the public comment list?
So the first person on the agenda.
Public comment number 1?
Not number 1, it has their name next to it.
McEwen already went, though.
Okay, so then the next one.
Okay. So public comment from PBE teachers? Okay, thank you. And sorry, Linda. I know you told me before.
Hello, my name is Joy McManman, and I am reading this letter on behalf of the 4 first grade teachers from Pine Bush. We would like to write this letter to express our concerns with eliminating first grade teaching assistants as proposed in the budget plan. We believe that teaching assistants play an essential role in ensuring a safe and supportive environment for our young learners. Teaching assistants help meet students' academic, behavioral, and social and emotional goals created to support students through our MTSS process. Without our first grade teaching assistants' role in helping students support students' goals, our students will not make the gains that we so hope for them to achieve. With the guidance of the classroom teacher, our first grade teaching assistants provide additional small group instruction to students. They help students gain basic skills needed to access the first grade curriculum, such as learning letters and their sounds, reading and spelling high-frequency words, and understanding the basic math concepts of counting, addition, and subtraction. Without teaching assistants, we risk seeing more first grade students require Tier 2 and Tier 3 support from reading and math specialists who are already in short supply. It should also be noted that classroom teaching assistants are used to substitute for classroom teachers throughout the building on a regular basis. This allows teachers to complete necessary trainings and assessment, such as benchmark assessments, professional development, curriculum mapping, SBST meetings, and annual reviews. Between our 4 first grade teachers at Pine Bush alone, our teaching assistants have been pulled to sub approximately 45 times so far this year. Without our teaching assistants present to substitute for us, the Guilderland School District will need to come up with a new plan to cover classes when teachers are out. Notably, if program teaching assistants are pulled to cover classes, the district will be out of compliance with legally mandated services on student IEPs. Our teaching assistants help students regulate their emotions throughout the school day. Teaching assistants also help to keep our students and classrooms safe. During emergency situations such as fire drills, bus drills, and lockdown drills, teaching assistants help to keep students calm and organized. When students require assistance from the nurse, teaching assistants help to take them there safely. There are also instances where a first grade classroom needs to be evacuated due to student behaviors. When this occurs, teaching assistants are essential in ensuring that all students in the classroom are taken to a safe space calmly and efficiently while the classroom teacher and crisis team handles the situation. In conclusion, we believe the first grade teaching assistants are an essential part of our learning environment. Guilderland's district vision states, "We will provide for all a safe and welcoming environment where students, parents, and staff..." You can finish your sentence. Where parents, students, and staff are joined in the pursuit of academic excellence and personal growth. Teaching assistants promote this vision and are a necessity in ensuring that first grade students receive the additional support they need to succeed in the classroom. We urge the Board of Education to seriously consider the need for teaching assistants in our first grade classrooms. Removing first grade teaching assistants from our classrooms will be providing a disservice to both our students and teachers. Thank you for attention to this matter, and we appreciate your commitment to the district. Sincerely, the first grade teachers from Pine Bush.
Thank you. Okay. I have you here twice, so did you have another? Okay. Oh, okay, so welcome back.
Okay. This is my personal letter. My name is Joy McManaman. I'm writing this letter in support of keeping our first grade teaching assistants. I have been teaching first grade at Pine Bush Elementary School for the past 20 years. During this time, I have seen the positive impact that teaching assistants have had with all of the students in my classroom, but especially for those students for whom learning and engaging in appropriate school behavior is more challenging. I often have first grade students enter my classroom in September who are not confident with their letter and sound knowledge. They have very limited or no knowledge of high frequency words and may not even be able to spell their own name. These students may also struggle to count and accurately identify numbers to 20. These gaps in learning make it difficult and sometimes impossible for them to access the first grade curriculum. Without teaching assistants to give these students the extra support they need, these students will continue to fall even more significantly behind their peers. These are often students who desire to learn and do well in school, but simply need the opportunity for concepts to be taught and retaught at a pace where they can learn. Without teaching assistants in first grade, there will be many students who need additional support from reading and math specialists. Because of scheduling limitations, students are typically only able to receive instruction from a reading or math specialist for a limited amount of time each week, whereas our classroom teaching assistants are able to work with these students on a consistent, daily basis. I have watched my teaching assistants come alongside and support students by pre-teaching and reteaching lessons, going over high-frequency words, teaching letters and sounds, teaching counting and numbers, teaching beginning reading skills, and helping students work through big emotions. Working with a teaching assistant allows these students to make significant gains such that they are proud of their accomplishments and excited to learn and work hard each day. I wish you could see the smiles on my students' faces when they finally master a high-frequency word they have been working on, or read a book completely on their own for the first time, or complete a math page using strategies that they worked on with a teaching assistant. I believe that our teaching assistants are one of Guilderland School District's greatest resources. They are dedicated to helping students succeed, and they go above and beyond on a daily basis to make this happen. It is my hope that you will see how vital our first grade teaching assistants are to this success of all students in our district, and take this into consideration in your discussions surrounding our school budget for the 2025-2026 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I am going to, so we received 25 public comments in writing, and we don't have time for all of them. They will be posted. We are also going to have a public comment section at the end. We received one from students, and so I would like to read that one now with the last few minutes of our first public comment period. Dear Board of Education, please let the TAs in first grade stay. TAs are nice and fun. One example that TAs are nice is when you're feeling sad or mad, they help you get through that feeling and stay happy. I remember my first grade TA, Miss Jackson. Every time I see her or she sees me, we hug. It makes my day. TAs are fun because they help create fun activities. Meanwhile, they help you learn and grow your brain. TAs are helpful because when you need help, they help you, but they don't give the answer. From students, and there's a note at the bottom that says signatures of these 21 students have been omitted in order to maintain privacy and confidentiality, but that means that 21 students are represented in this public comment, so I did want to read that.
What elementary? That was elementary? I think it's GES.
Yes, let me see.
It was Guilderland Elementary.
It was Guilderland Elementary School. So thank you so much to those students and to the teacher that submitted this public comment on their behalf.
It's handwritten.
It's
also.
Yes, it's handwritten.
Very key.
And I think that's also scanned in, right? So anyone that looks online can see it. Okay, so I'm going to close this comment period for now, and then we'll have another 15 minutes at the end, and I will see if there's any more in-person comments, and if not, I will read some of the 25. but I did want the public to be aware of just how many we received. And they were on the topics, specifically the TAs and also the class size for Altamont Elementary School. Okay, so then the next item on our agenda, are we moving up, right?
We have budget development.
Budget development, okay, thank you.
Andrew has some slides to share.
Great, thank you. We need to move some.
Want to pass it down?
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to start today by, at the March 11th budget workshop, we had a number of questions from both the community and the school board about fund balance and our overall approach to budgeting. We spent the last 2 weeks preparing some data to show how we've approached this in the past and how we have, our overall budgets have been designed and performed. So I'm going to start by sharing that context, that data, and then I'm going to move into finishing this, what we started on March 4th, which is the superintendent's draft budget. Remember on March 4th, Dr. Weil said it's an incomplete draft. March 11th, we shared further refinement, and today we finally have a fully formed draft budget we'll share. So I'll walk through that, and then finally I'll address a modified proposal about TAs that we have developed to share with the board and the community. Again, with fund balance is a core part of budgeting for school districts. Fund balance is the surplus we have in the general fund at the end of the year, and it comes from either expenditures being lower than anticipated, revenues being higher than anticipated, but it's the net position between what we've spent and what we've taken in. With that surplus, there are a few options districts have. We can carry 4% of that amount into next year's budget as unassigned fund balance. The parallel here is a savings account for a household. We try to make this a priority because this is gives us the most flexibility in the following year. We also can then put funds in reserves, which allows us to save for designated purposes, or we can appropriate fund balance, which is take some of that surplus and allocate it to the following year's budget as a way of saving taxes. Where we're at right now with our 4% of this year's fund budget was $5,007,713. So that's what we started this year with. Because the proposed budget for next year has increased, to maintain 4%, we need a $94,000 surplus to carry that figure forward. This is an important figure because if we fully budget to the dollar both revenue and expenses, and then budgets go up, we'll only maintain the 4% by reducing reserves. This is data we shared early in the budget development process, but I wanted to bring it up again. This is Guilderland and our suburban council peer districts. The share of the budget that fund balance makes up. See here that we have much lower fund balance in the whole than other suburban council districts do. And the gap that closed for this year, at the end of last year, a significant portion of that came from the tax certiorari bond repaying us for that dip the prior year. So the dip to 10.1% was paying back tax refunds and anticipate beyond what we could reasonably have budgeted or anticipated, and then borrowing to recoup that. So that those two steps sort of mar the continuous line we have had of closing the gap. Closing the gap has been one of the priorities in budgeting in recent years because fund balance does a lot of things for us. It's critical to long-range planning. It makes borrowing for capital projects much cheaper, so it saves us money in the long run. It reduces our susceptibility to fiscal stress, and I'll talk about later that in the past, when we really reduced our reserves and fund balance, we were designated as susceptible to fiscal stress by the Office of the State Comptroller, which lowered our credit rating, which resulted in increased borrowing costs for capital construction projects. The next idea I want to turn to is budget performance. This is that surplus amount at the end of the fiscal year by taking your revenues, taking your expenses, and comparing the actuals to what was budgeted, the net position between the two. There's a lot of data on the next 5 slides, so I put all the titles here so I can maximize the screen time. But what I'm going to do is look at our district-specific trends with budgets to actuals for expenditures, so our spending budget, for revenues, what we project taking in, then combine those for our overall budget performance. And then I will compare our budget performance to suburban council peer districts. And then finally, look at our actual fund balance and reserve budgeting. So what we budgeted and what we actually appropriated from fund balance and reserves. I took a long historical lens here going back to before the Great Recession, so we can see the overall trend through a cycle of economic downturn. These bars, the gray shows what we budgeted our expenditures to be and what we actually spent. Not going to walk through year by year or line by line. When gray is higher than red for a given year, we have a surplus from expenditures. When red is higher than gray, we have a deficit from expenditures.
They get better.
With revenue, the budget versus revenue, if the red is higher, we've taken in more money than we budgeted. Gray is higher than the red, we've taken in less money than we budgeted. We put these together, and this is our overall budget variance in this time period. I have truncated the bar, so this scale goes to 80% here. And I've done that because if we made it 0 to 100, which is more appropriate statistically, if there's statisticians watching, it's really a much more of a flat line, and I wanted to try to show the relative variance that we have had. If the red line is above the black line, we had a surplus in that year. If the red line is below the black line, we had a net deficit. So as I said, I went back to before the Great Recession, so I put 1 year in, and then we see the impact of the recession was a many-year recovery. So we had 2008, 2009, up to 2013, 14, or 14, 15 of deficits each year, not budgeted deficits, actual deficits, right? Reducing our reserves and fund balance in order to maintain operations. After that, we had a surplus for a few years. I'll point out the dip, that sharp dip around 2018-19. That is because we'd put money in a capital reserve and then expended it for a capital project. So that is that's a contrast to the recession era spending, in which case we were using fund balance and reserves to maintain operations. This was reducing our reserves for a capital project, which saves money in both the amount borrowed and also helps with the tax rate. And then the final bar, this last year, the large jump there is because of, again, the bond we issued that we did not budget for, so that was revenue we took in. Spent a lot of time trying to figure out how do we show Guilderland in comparison to all of our peer districts in terms of our budget performance. We came up with this graph. So the red bars each year are Guilderland's variance. This is the percentage above or below. If the bar is above, that's a surplus. If the bar is below, it's a deficit. And then put every other suburban council in here in light gray, not because I want to call out any individual district. I wanted to highlight that our budget to actual is quite close to how things actually work. We have very few of the large swings that happen in a lot of peer districts. I was not here to develop all these budgets, but I will say my predecessor, boards of education in the past, administrative team, all of the stakeholders, they did a very good job. We have, I'd say, very accurate budgeting on the whole. Even when we have deficits or surpluses, they're generally within 1%. Few of the outliers getting to 2%, but we don't really cross 4%. This chart, or this table has, again, the same time period, going back to what our overall budget was, how much of the revenue budget involved reserves or fund balance, how much actual fund balance was appropriated, and then the money that was needed to the surplus that was needed to maintain 4% for the following year. In years where we're at deficit, the deficit is compounded from reserves because to reach the 4% the following year, we had to appropriate that additional amount from reserves beyond just what is spent in that given year. Think back to the line graph where we had the surplus and then the deficits. These are the actual deficits we see here. We have $2.1 million, $1.1 million, $400,000, just under $1 million. That was the Great Recession, the gap elimination adjustment that Assembly Member Stack referred to earlier. That was a nightmare for all districts. This is what the nightmare looked like for our finances. This had tremendous consequences for education in the district, for our students, for our staff. This was not a great time for school districts. And again, that's the multi-year trend. The 2.8 million, largely not all the capital project that year. And then we see the deficit in 21, 22, and 2022, 23. Those are the combination of either tax refunds or contract transportation expenses that were both above what we had budgeted. Before I move into the specifics of this year's budget, any questions about the first part of the presentation?
I just, if you don't mind reiterating just for the public, the problem with using fund balance for recurring expenses.
We use the metaphor of a fiscal cliff a lot because it's an effective metaphor, I think. Expenses that recur in year one and year two, right? So if you appropriate $1 million from fund balance to pay for a recurring expense, you don't actually have that in revenue. So when you go to make the next year's budget, you're starting $1 million short and you have less in your savings account. Think about that in your personal circumstances, right? So if you are using a credit card to pay for expenses, that bill keeps going up. Or if you're drawing from your savings account to supplement your monthly recurring expenses, you're going to draw that down really quickly. Reserves are there to protect us. They offer us for unanticipated expenses or crises that come up. Right? So tax certiorari claims and tax refunds, or contract transportation, elimination of state aid all of a sudden in the middle of a budget process. But when you do that, the hole takes many years to dig out.
Just back to the tax certiorari's, is there a statute of limitations? I'm trying to get a grasp of whether those are done for the most part or no.
Yes, when you settle a tax, either when you have an agreement or when there's a court order, it is locked in for a period of years before they can re-agree.
Okay. Thank you. And Kelly?
So does this mean that in 24-25 we put in $91,995 into the surplus, into the fund balance, or in the year before 216? What does that mean?
It means for next year's, this is approximate because we don't have a full dollar amount of what next year's budget is. It means that for this year's budget, we need at least a $91,000 surplus to maintain the status quo. Our 4% involves more than that.
And if it went down to 3.8%, what does that mean? I mean,
Strategically, we would maintain 4% and draw from reserves rather than reduce the 4%, because that is our only source of unrestricted savings.
so, we can continue I might have another question later, but.
So, just the reserves we have, New York State they're all legally established and they're regulated. And there's different criteria for establishing them, how you fund them, how much you can put in them, and how you expend from them. So for example, the capital project resolution that's on the ballot later today includes drawing from the capital reserve. We can only draw from the capital reserve with voter approval. So some reserves are much more restrictive, whereas because it's unallocated money, we have that flexibility to, if we have a tax refund to pay, have that savings. That's our cushion.
So for the capital district money that we're pulling out of our, I'm going to use the wrong word, reserves, it's not from this 4%, it's from something we already allocated, right? Like the, you call it the unassigned, or the assigned, restricted fund balance? That's what I mean. And they pull it, when we pull, I think I may be getting ahead of myself here though, but go ahead. You could finish, and then if I have the question at the end, then I'll answer it. Or question.
So this is the backdrop to now moving into 25, 26. Oh.
I'm so sorry.
No, go for it.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Van Alstyne. I think maybe what Kelly's asking is the state allows up to 4% in a fund balance, right? But we're not required to put 4% in the fund balance. But the consequence of not putting 4% in it is an impact on our credit.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Possibly.
So the credit rating agencies, so Moody's, when they assess us, they look at our overall fund balance, which includes allocated and unallocated, and that's like designated reserves. So they look at that as an overall whole. Every school district that I know of prioritizes the 4% because, again, that's what you have the most flexibility with, what you can draw upon truly in an emergency rather than having to. We use other reserves as part of a plan. So those are the tool in long-range planning, and like the capital reserve is a great example where you can put surpluses in each year and then draw on that to reduce the tax impact of a capital project. It's not the only possible use, but reserves are very good for long-range planning, whereas unrestricted fund balance, the 4%, is the equivalent of the emergency fund. So we move into 25-26 budget development. As I alluded to in the beginning, this year's process has been more drawn out rather than coming on March 4th and presenting a full draft budget. I'm not going to recap everything that led up to March 11th. I'm going to take from March 11th to now changes that were made and proposed on March 11th, and then changes since then. So on March 11th, Dr. Wiles shared restoring the .2 FTE Altamont librarian, eliminating an open auto mechanic position, reallocating a 1.0 FTE for special education from the high school to the middle school, and then building a budget with appropriate fund balance and a planned use of reserves. Since this time, we had a reading teacher retire. It's on the agenda for tonight. And there's a proposal to reduce that position 0.5 FTE as part of an overall reallocation of reading FTEs based on need that administrators identified. We've reduced business FTE 0.2. This was an overage at the high school through bid scheduling. We were able to reduce that. We're eliminating an open 6-hour aid monitor position at the middle school that came open. We chose not to fill this year. We've decided middle school administrators recommended eliminating that position. a custodial supervisor leave the district, and so we've chosen to eliminate that and replace it with enhanced team leader stipends to support the work while saving money. We also had updated property insurance premiums. Met with our insurance agents last week, and it's statewide and really nationwide. Property insurance has really grown in costs. Our district has good but not great claims history in the time period used to assess these, so we're a B-level rating. They don't actually use those, but like if they use those, we would be a B, not an A. So we faced a pretty significant jump to our premiums versus what we had projected. Special education, we provide special education services, private schools under New York State law. Special ed identified an additional 0.1 FTE needed at St. Ellen and Sophie that had not been included in the budget yet. So all of this resulted in a net reduction of $174,105. This is the beginning of the final, or the first complete budget draft. This budget draft would eliminate the appropriate fund balance that we had at the end of March 11th and put us slightly under our tax levy maximum limit.
And Andrew, that's the document that the board received on Tuesday. So what you have in your materials is what he's presented so far, just to be real clear.
Then we've been working to identify a potential solution that we wanted to a proposal to share with you for consideration about first grade teaching assistants. Our draft budget proposed eliminating them across first grade. So there's now 17 projected sections, so that would have 51 hours of TA support. But we have a pool of unassigned TAs available to administrators. These are drawn upon either when a section is added through unassigned or when needs are identified during a school year. Our recommended plan for first grade TAs is creating a pool of 35 hours that will be allocated between the schools based on enrollment in sections. As part of that, eliminating the 9 hours unassigned, appropriating $168,409 of fund balance and increasing the levy back up to the cap, which would put us at a 1.88% year-over-year budget increase. The levy would go up 2.2%. The estimated tax increase would be 1.53%. The gap there is because there's additional property that comes on the rolls, so the overall assessed value within the district is growing. So that some of the levy is spread across that. Questions, comments?
Can you remind me if we had with enrollment an increased special education expenses, where we would draw that from? Like if after we've budgeted, if there was a change in special education, where would we?
So Lisa Knowles, Director of Pupil Personnel Services, when she develops her budget, puts a small cushion in for if we have another, because this frequently happens.
Yeah.
People either needs are identified for existing students or students move into the district over the summer or during a school year, so we have a cushion there. The answer to that would be multi-part. We have, first in a given year, we look to surpluses that we've identified that we can transfer funds from. Next year, the budget's very tight for expenses. Likely won't be surpluses in any areas to draw from, so it would come from either drawing on fund balance.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if that's something we have to keep in consideration also.
We also, if you don't mind jumping in, we also have a pool of unassigned TAs for special education, separate and apart from the 9 that we're talking about here.
Okay, not counted into this.
Not counted here. Earlier this week, I met with Lisa Knowles and Nikki Malcolm to talk about what our support systems look at the elementary level. And as soon as I said TAs, she said, I need all of those hours, because additional requests do come in during the course of the year for our students with disabilities, and the need for usually one-to-one TAs, that would be.
Okay.
talking to Lisa, I think it's best to think of the teaching assistants and the aid and special ed, aid monitor positions as more of a pool that they draw upon and allocate based on need rather than being, and they're all aligned to budget codes that are in specific buildings, but really they are a pool that they draw upon and put where the moving parts go.
Yeah, and I guess this question kind of overlaps those points or questions. So how does that factor into ultimately at this point, how many FTEs at this point then are you looking at? And then also the second question with the 35 hours, so does that leave that's like 4 or 5 sections after the 17, right? After the 35 hours?
So can I jump in there? Just because I've been thinking about this a lot. So it's roughly 5 FTEs, but we allocate TAs by hour. So what we would ask the elementary principals and their teams to do is to look at the classrooms as a whole and allocate the hours that they have. So maybe it's not 3 hours in every classroom, maybe it's 2. We also looked at some of our classrooms are co-taught classrooms and have a second teacher in the classroom who's a special education teacher. And there may also be a special education TA in that classroom. So is there a way to think about how time gets maximized so that we're tapping into all of these hours as best we can? So it's fewer hours, but it's not the same reduction that we talked about last time.
So it's just so I'm clear, because I have a harder time understanding hours compared
Yes.
to FTE. It's approximately a 70%
restoration.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're still, so now we're losing another, or not replacing another 0.5 for elementary reading position? Is it, that's $89,000 is a 0.5?
For this particular position, it was. It's an actual cost.
We often budget with the figures we develop for what does it cost for the typical teacher. We don't put breakage in. At this point in the process, we put the breakage to this amount.
So nobody's concerned about losing a 0.5 reading teacher? Kind of like adds on to problems, it seems, by reducing that from what we've heard. But, I mean,
Well, before we made a reduction, we went to the principal and said, can you look at this closely, and do you need the full 1.0 FTE? And the principal came back and said, actually, we could do with 0.5. And
There are many times we ask that. The answer is no, we need it.
and then we leave it alone.
So is that because the number of students don't need the services? Is that?
It's a combination of things. It's some of it's a transition away from reading recovery, where a lot of the delivery was one-on-one, and now we're working with small groups of students, and so it's a reassessment of how we use that time.
Okay.
That's a big part of it.
What's the likelihood that foundation aid will change? Because I know it's not set. This seems to be a much smaller number to overcome. Is there a chance that foundation aid will make up this amount?
That'd be awesome. Never say never with New York State budgeting process. But that being said, I would come close to it. The reason is all the conversations that we hear in the legislative proposals and the one house budgets are about what is the due minimum increase. That is what is the minimum increase each district receives.
Mm-hmm.
Currently it was 2%. There are various iterations or people advocating for 3%. We received above that. So given our economic profile and the increase that we already received, I think it's very unlikely that we would receive a significant change.
Could it
Now,
be
the number
lower?
It could be slightly lower. Generally, they would not change formula, but because the formula is running, the data could change. But I also, this is where Mike Bastian, who's our data and statistics person, Worked very carefully to make sure that we had really accurate enrollment numbers uploaded to the state for this process. So one of the things we've seen in other districts when they put projected enrollment in and don't really get their actual numbers in, when they pull the actual numbers, they get these big swings and it looks like something's going on, but it's just that. We've been very careful about getting our data as correct as possible for the state funds.
I think it was also telling Mr. Steck tonight said, and it's kind of unusual, that what we should expect when we get our final runs is pretty close to what we got from the executive.
Thank you.
I also just want to thank John Rizzo as well, our business manager, for this on uploading all the data into the SED system.
So in this proposal, the $168,000 plus is appropriated from the 4%?
It would be from this year's surplus for next year's budget.
Just
So
stuff
we
in
have
my
a
language.
surplus. So we have a surplus in this year, and we've talked about the surplus this year is larger than typical because contract transportation really declined this year. We have a new software, a new leadership team. We're able to hire a lot more drivers, so we've saved a couple million dollars in contract transportation. We put some of that in the capital reserve already, so we can use it for the capital project. We have a surplus at the end of this year. What we do with that surplus, so let's say we have $1 million surplus. The first thing we're going to do is take 4% of that, put it in our unassigned pocket for next budget year. Then we're going to take in this proposal, $168,490 of that surplus and say, okay, this is intended for next year's budget. After that, if there's remaining surplus, we would look at a reserve plan.
What would happen if we put 3.8% of the budget into the thing? I mean,
We could
that's
do
a huge
this.
amount. I mean, how much is 4% of the budget? It's like
About $5 million.
So what we're talking about is a very small amount of that, right? I mean, like, do we know what a percentage, like what, even if you took the whole amount, $300,000-some odd out of $5 million that we're gonna move forward to put in that thing, can we convert it to be like, we're putting 3.925% of it forward rather than 4% forward, or am I misunderstanding?
Will that harm our credit rating?
It becomes $385,000 that we won't have next year. So then next year, you're sitting here,
It's compounding.
it's compounding, yes.
But to that end, we are proposing using 168,000.
Not of the,
No,
we would
not
be
of the
taking the 4%.
We've already taken the 4%.
Surplus that we have this year, we would allocate that. Now again, our budget performance is generally 99% effective. If we're 99% effective next year, we won't actually have to expend this money. This just really reduces the margins we're operating with. We have really gone over this, but part of the reason that this is March 25th, not March 4th, is we've been going over this with a fine-tooth comb, going back to our administrators over and over and over again, saying, what do you actually need? What do you actually need? Trying to find what we can in this budget, but also it's hard to be 100% accurate. My personal budget, if I could be 98% effective in my personal budget, I would spend some of that money on fireworks to celebrate.
We're trying to strike a balance. I mean, we understand, we hear very loud and clear that people want us to find a way to hang on to our first grade TAs. So we're trying to find a way to do as much of that as we can, but not to put the district in a place where next year and the year after and the year after, we are in a position that we're not just looking at losing positions by attrition, but we're laying off people. And I do feel, and I heard you, I think Mr. Steck said this as well, that There's just a lot of uncertainty there. This would be a time to have more in savings rather than less in savings. As an example, I mean, I don't know if this will happen, but $1.9 million of our staff are paid for by federal dollars, which is not in any of the money that we're talking about tonight. And these are all people who have positions working with students with disabilities and our E&L students, and they are not positions we could not just have. And should those resources go away, we have to go into the dollars that we're talking about here to backfill, which would be that fund balance. And I just think it's so hard to make these kinds of decisions in the short term, but I think we're entering a period not unlike we had in those early 2010, 11, 12. We lost 230 staff members. I know Gloria was at this table when we did it. Tara was over there. You know, it was dreadful. We had long seniority lists, and we had many terrible meetings with people to say, I'm so sorry, but you're going on a Pell list. And we do not want to do that. We value our people very much. We want to keep them whole. So this is not ideal. No one is arguing that it's ideal, but to not recognize that this is a difficult time, and maybe there are other rocks that we can turn over, but I'm not sure what they are. I'm thinking of these at 3 o'clock in the morning, thinking, is there another idea that we could come up with? So it's a very difficult year, and we're not used to this. We have had years with federal dollars flowing where the answer to everything was yes. And so we're not there anymore.
Circling back to Rebecca's question earlier about using one-time funds for recurring expenses, our budget, more than 3/4 of it is for salary and benefits. Those are very hard to control, but it's also at the same time hard to make meaningful reductions that don't involve salary and benefits. We can trim a fraction of a percent here and there, but if we need meaningful reductions, it's very difficult to do without having to be in personnel staffing. One of the problems some districts ran into during the Great Recession was using one-time funds to maintain personnel. When those dried up, having to make massive reductions, which is very disruptive for staff and for students. The intent of this proposal is to make reductions while trying to minimize the pain this year, but also next year and 2 years from now.
One more quick question. I saw on the other slide, but we butted right up to the tax cap.
Oh,
right?
yes.
This proposal would
It is
be
like you had like $6,000 something, itty bitty. And one last comment. Is there a projection is there thought yet towards potentially finding the money from next year's budget? Like how's the transportation guys doing, or like maintenance thoughts, or other admin positions? They're like, I just want to move forward with a thought of like, okay, before we hire that person, let's take a look at it, because we still have this thing that we want to do from this year. Since I just want to like look forward now rather than be in the same position we are exactly a year from now, being like, yeah, we still can't fund the TAs that we want to put back in. But sorry, it's kind of just an aside.
Well, to your point, Kelly, I think that's what we're doing. Like every time we had a resignation or a retirement in the last 2 months, we have come to you with like, we have found a way to squeeze this in a way to save other things. So I mean, it won't be me, but I have confidence that this team will continue to do that so we can preserve as much as we have.
So I just want clarification. So at this point, no TAs are getting laid off?
Correct.
No. Okay. My other question is, when is the official date in April that the budget has to be done by? I know we said April 8th, so I was telling people to call, the Assembly and State and ask them to have the budget ready by April 7th, so we can have like real numbers.
So there's a legal deadline and then there's a practical deadline.
Okay.
The legal deadline, I think, is the 28th. But if we want a newsletter that goes out to our families, I was meeting with Patrice on this very topic because I know it's come up. We could adopt on April 21st, which is the Monday after break. That would be for us to get a newsletter in our families' residents' homes, like the drop dead date, because the next day we would have to rewrite some of that newsletter,
Right.
get it published, get it to the printer, get it to the mailing house. And remember, we're writing a newsletter about a budget and a capital project. So the 21st would be
The absolute.
absolute.
Okay.
And it would be a bit of a ordeal.
And it'd be a special board meeting.
It'd have to be a special board meeting.
I think we're scheduled for 14th or something like that right now, before break.
That's at the state.
I'm sorry, Meredith had her.
Yeah, this isn't for this year, but, so there's a proposal for UPK to start being in our budget. Would those, if there were unused funds, would they ever be able to be appropriated into the general school budget? No?
The structure of UPK.
Yeah, I mean, it's
no.
separate now, but.
And any future changes to UPK with a mandate would likely also result in UPK students counting for foundation aid. It's just, there's too much policy uncertainty to project that. Other than if it were an unfunded mandate, it would be
Trying to read
very, very challenging.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? or
I just want to
comments?
say thank you for finding a TA solution.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
70% is
a lot of
amazing.
hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that, so that's great. Very hard work. Oh, it's me, isn't it? I'm sorry, okay. So moving on.
Okay, we need to do 15A.
Thank you, okay. We're gonna move forward to 15A. Which is a memorandum of agreement under superintendent action. Okay, so can I get a motion to accept the memorandum of agreement? Kelly, second Katie. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Passes 9-0. And then we'll go back up to the consent items. Getting dizzy looking at, okay. We're going to number 9 now, the consent items. Can I get a motion to accept the consent items, to approve the consent items, which include the CPSE and CSE recommendations, financials, et cetera? I'm going to go right down the line. Tara, second Nina. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Passes 9-0.
And a congratulations to Rachel Anderson.
Yes.
And her tenure.
Okay, and then financials.
I think we just did them all.
Oh, we did, a good thing. Excellent. So where are we? Personnel?
I think I'm next.
Rachel.
So thank you, everyone, and good evening. I have some good news to share from our music department. One of our Guilderland High School lesson groups, which is a brass quintet, consisting of Yoon Soo Woo on trumpet, Toby Weiss on trumpet, Anthony Padula on French horn, and Brendan Cow on trombone, and Ian Dunn on tuba, made it through 2 rounds of auditions and performances to be selected to perform in the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center's 41st Annual Young Musicians Concert. They will perform at the prestigious Alice Tully Hall in Lincoln Center on May 8th at 11 a.m. It's an incredible honor, and we congratulate the students and their teacher, John Fatuzzo, on this incredible accomplishment. Also, our GHS Jazz Ensemble and Chamber Choir performed last week at the Empire State Plaza for Music in Our Schools Month, which is a tradition that NISMA organizes annually throughout March to advocate for education and specifically music education within our state government. The jazz ensemble is led by John Fatuzzo and the chamber choir by Claudia Golub. And our FMS 7th grade chorus and vocal thunder led by Nancy Castellini knocked it out of the park on Monday, last Monday, and our FMS select band led by Alexis St. Clair and jazz band led by Jason Utter did perform last week as well. Next, internationally renowned conductor and Guilderland alum Lydia Yankoskova guest conducted the Albany Symphony Orchestra 2 weeks ago and came to GHS to work with our concert and symphony orchestra led by Susan Curo 2 weeks ago Friday, which was a great experience for all the students involved. And last weekend, we had 7 students perform at the New York State Band Directors Association Annual Symposium in the middle school and high school statewide honor bands. Congratulations to the students who performed there, including Andrew Padula, Emma Padula, Christy City, Elisa Sikander, and Daniel Wu from FMS, and Adam Horalchek and Anthony Padula from GHS. And there are some images from all of those events on your agenda as well. And then finally, Si Guo from 12th grade wrote a composition which won the Empire State Youth Orchestra and SPAC Composition Contest and will be performed by the Empire State Youth Orchestra Symphony Orchestra on June 1st at the Festival of Young Artists at SPAC.
Awesome.
Congratulations to all of our fine musicians.
It's amazing. School business management information.
Thank you. For information, I have parts 1, 2, and 3 of the full environment assessment related to the State Environmental Quality Review for the capital project. The board has reviewed these 3 parts of the files in advance of making their determination in the action items.
Okay. We don't need to do anything.
Just
Great.
We'll vote on seeker in a bit. This is just the information.
Great. Superintendent information.
2 items, one that's in front of us and one that I want to just throw in. We had our March Superintendent's Conference Day last week, Wednesday, and I just want to recognize a number of people, beginning with Rachel Anderson, but also our leadership team. We have some folks in the back who helped coordinate a very productive day with many, many learning opportunities that were mostly led by our own faculty and staff that were very well received and well attended. Great opportunity. We had the entire faculty and staff of our school district here together at Guilderland High School for the whole morning, and then groups went in their various directions in the afternoon. But it was a wonderful superintendent's conference day, and just my hats off to all the professional learning that went on that day. And the second thing I just want to mention, I want to give a shout out to the high school. They are hosting a career and trade fair on Friday, the 28th. Board members, if you have some time during the day, would like to come, it's 9:30 to 1:30. It'll be in the large gym. This is our second year hosting this event that gives students an opportunity to get hands-on with actual trades and actual tradespeople. And so last year it was a great success. It is almost twice as big this year with representatives who will be here all day. So we're really excited about this event and welcome all of you to come by if you can.
Great. Thank you. We'll move on to board president information. The Capital Region BOCES annual meeting will be April 9th. The annual meeting of the Capital Region BOCES is scheduled for Wednesday, April 9th at 6 p.m. If board members are interested in attending, please let Board Clerk Linda Livingston know. I'm going. Is anyone else going? I'm going. Okay, great. Capital Region BOCES budget and board election vote is April 23rd, 2025. And I'll just have to read this. The 2025-26 Board of Cooperative Educational Services budget and election will take place on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. There are 4 seats up for election. This is the date of our special board meeting that takes place at 8 a.m. Okay, and the upcoming Board of Education election is May 20th. Petitions are available through the district clerk for any district resident who might be considering running for the Board of Education. 47 signatures of eligible district voters are required based on 2% of those voting in last year's election. There are three-year terms on the board that will begin July 1st, 2025, and one 2-year term that will begin May 21st, 2025. General information. In order to be eligible to run for the Board of Education, nominating petitions with 47 or more signatures from qualified voters in the district must be submitted to the district clerk on or before April 21st, 2025 by 5 p.m. Anyone who has questions about the duties and responsibilities of a board member may contact the superintendent, me, or any current board member. A candidate must be able to read and write, be at least 18 years of age, a qualified voter, and a district resident for at least 1 year prior to the date of the vote on Tuesday, May 20th. Further qualifications and information is in the packet available through Linda Livingston. Okay, school business management action items.
Thank you. I have a number of items for your consideration tonight. The first are health and welfare services agreements with Burn Knox Westerlo and South Colony. These are for children residing within our school district who attend non-public schools within the contracted districts.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept? Okay, where were we? Rebecca, second Katie. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Passes 9-0.
Thank you. My next item are 2 general fund transfers, one for transportation staffing and one for teacher salaries.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the general fund transfer? Katie, second Gloria. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? 9-0.
Thank you. The next is our installment purchase agreement with BOCES for instructional technology.
Okay, recommendation to accept Gloria, second Kelly. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Does anybody have to abstain from this one? No? Okay, 9-0.
Thank you. The next is a resolution authorizing the district to participate in NICLAS, which is a vehicle for school district investments. All of our investment decisions are made in line with Board Policy 6240.
Participate, or can I get a motion to participate? Kelly? Second. Kim? Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Passes 9-0.
Thank you. The next item will be a roll call vote. This is to adopt a finding of no significance, a negative declaration regarding the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act review related to the 2025 capital project. You need a motion.
Oh, motion. Meredith, second Tara.
Mrs. Blasiak?
Yes.
Dr. Butterfield?
Yes.
Mrs. DePiero?
Yes.
Mrs. Gonzalez Parker?
Yes.
Mrs. Kaplan?
Yes.
Mrs. Malloy Grockley, sorry.
Yes.
Mrs. Person?
Yes.
Mrs. Briere?
Yes.
And Mrs. Tohill?
Yes.
Thank you. Now that that negative determination has been reached, the next is the capital bond proposition for the 2025 capital project.
Oh, can I get a motion? I think we're on Rebecca, second Katie. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
This is a roll call, too.
Oh, it's a roll call too. My bad.
I think that's right.
Mrs. Blasiak?
Yes.
Dr. Butterfield?
Yes.
Mrs. DePiero?
Yes.
Mrs. Gonzalez Parker?
Yes.
Mrs. Kaplan?
Yes.
Mrs. Malloy Grockley?
Yes.
Mrs. Person?
Yes.
Mrs. Briere?
Yes.
And Mrs. Tohill?
Yes.
Thank you. My next item is a declaration of surplus and obsolete property. Allows for disposal of materials.
Okay. That's not a roll call, right?
No.
Okay. I lost track. Let's go with Gloria, second Kelly. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Passes 9-0.
Thank you. My next item is we recently did an RFP for workers' compensation third-party administrative services. My recommendation is to award it to Benetech.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve of this? Let's go with Kelly, second Kim. Any questions or comments?
How many people responded? Or how many?
I believe we had 2.
2.
We
Okay.
reviewed
And what-
2 proposals.
And what was the determination? We went with the cheapest option, or?
this one was more complex than just cheapest. It was the cheapest option, but it was, the questions we considered, I reviewed it with John Rizzo, were the resources provided by each company and our district's history of exposure, and based on our utilization, we felt our profile fit Benetech.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Passes 9-0.
Thank you. My next item is property value inventory services. This again was an RFP. The recommendation is to award it to Questar 3. This is a service that our insurance company, Utica National, will cover the non-aidable share, so it will be no net cost to the district.
Okay, can I get a, yeah, it was freezing. Can I get a motion? Meredith, second Tara. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? 9-0.
Next, I have a recommendation for third-party unemployment administrative services, another RFP we issued. A recommendation of awarding it to Industrial UI.
Okay, motion to approve Nina, second Rebecca. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? 9-0.
My next item, really the next two items, relate to the low-income property exemption the board adopted in January. This is the one for low-income senior citizens and the one for low-income people with disabilities. When the board adopted this resolution, the definition of income used by the board's resolution and the town's resolution did not align. The board has for consideration here a resolution that would be retroactive to January that would exclude annuities and IRAs from the income calculation, which would mean two things. One, our income calculation method would be the same as the town and the counties. Our thresholds are different, but the calculation would be the same. And the second result of that would be residents last year who got the exemption who did not otherwise have significant income changes would not lose eligibility for this year's exemption. I share this as an option for the board.
Can I ask a question about this?
I need a motion
Yes.
first.
And then
Okay.
discussion.
Motion Kelly, second Katie. Questions or comments, Rebecca?
I'm just wondering, and maybe, and I know I appreciate you trying to explain this to me in an earlier correspondence. I'm just wondering why this question doesn't go back to business practices to discuss.
The timing of it was really the large answer, is that community members are getting rejected by the town and reaching out. We certainly can bring it back to business practices, but there's less time for the town to review retroactively applications that had denied.
I vote for going back to business practices because we had a conversation surrounding
Yeah, we
this in business
specifically
practices.
listed that we wanted to include that as income, so I'm not comfortable with
I don't like
voting on this tonight.
overstepping that conversation since we specifically had a recommendation. I'm not saying I'm not willing to, and I know there's time stuff, but that was the process before. I think I should go back to that process.
How do I handle that? Because right now we have a motion, so we'd have to deny it
Okay.
and
If
refer
we
it
vote
back?
it down, the resolution we passed in January is unchanged. I just want to add, the difference between when we discussed the business practices and now was just that I'd had misinformation about how the town was calculating it, which I'm happy to bring back to business practices.
Well, we can go back to it. Like, we don't have to do the same as the town.
We do not.
And you said that you had compared somebody, there's maybe one person, is it? Or a couple people that
I've had multiple phone calls this
Okay.
week already,
Multiple
or
phone
last 2
calls
weeks.
said what they got they were eligible for it last year, but not eligible for it this year. We didn't have it last year.
Yeah, we had it last year. We raised the thresholds.
Oh.
What happened is,
Base to 35. But we specifically stated that we wanted to include IRA income as income. This would specifically exclude it.
Yeah, no.
So it changes from year to year based on whether or not someone takes money out of an IRA. So it makes it harder for an individual doing their taxes to understand how it changes from year to year. But we were very specific about that we wanted to include it. So
So we have the motion on the floor, so we would have to vote
We
No,
voted down.
vote it down
We
and
voted
then-
down the resolutions from, the resolution the board adopted in January is unchanged. So
Okay.
the expanded thresholds that we passed in January still exist.
Right, so we would vote this down. Okay. So any other questions or comments?
I have one more question. So
Okay.
why was this brought, this was only because people have been calling, or the town asked us to do this?
People had called, so I talked to the town because
Okay.
I was under the impression that our calculations had aligned, which is what I'd shared with business practices. Found out they did not. And that was an error in communication between the district and the town.
So all those in favor? All those opposed? So. it's-
So the vote is for just aligning with the
Right.
town.
The other one still stands.
And no would be to bring it back to business practices.
Right.
Well, no would be to not pass it now. We can then bring it back to business practices.
Yes, we should bring it back.
Oh,
Definitely.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
That's it? So it's 0-9, and we'd like to send it back to business
To
practices.
business,
Okay.
So I think we also need to vote on L, which is the disabilities version.
Oh, can I get a motion for okay, so Nina, second Kelly, and any questions or comments on that? I think it's the same thing. Okay.
Same thing, right?
Yep, just a different group. Okay, so all those in favor? 0, all those opposed? 9, back to business practices.
Thank you. My next item is a classroom rental agreement. We're doing with the YMCA for the 2025-26 school year.
Okay, motion to accept the rental agreement. We'll go with Katie and second Gloria. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? 9-0.
Thank you. And the final and perhaps most exciting item on the agenda is the creation of the Marie Wiles Scholarship. I will read the full resolution here. I resolve that the Board of Education approves the Marie Wiles Scholarship. This scholarship will recognize a student who has worked to make others feel a part of the community, has been a member of Best Buddies, Unified Sports, Unified Physical Education, or has helped support students who are learning English as a new language.
Motion to approve the scholarship in honor of Marie Wiles. Let's go with Gloria and second Tara. Any questions or comments?
Actually, I sadly will abstain.
Okay.
I want to add, though, something. I think, didn't you tell us that you were part of coming up with what, who you would like to give it to?
So this is PTA Council. God bless them. I'm so touched. So Amy Lynch came to me the day after the meeting and said, we want to do this. Do you have any ideas? And we need them now. So I met with the counselors and kind of talked through what really hasn't been done before and to kind of capture, what we've been working hard to do here, so.
It captures your essence, and I think that's a really beautiful thing. And you're a member of PTA Council, so I'm assuming that's.
Yeah, I'm literally writing the check.
Right. So thank you for abstaining. So motion to approve, I already said Gloria and Tara, and any other comments? Okay, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, passes 9-0.
8.
8, my
One
God.
abstention.
One abstention.
Sorry, guys, it's been long. Okay, 8-0. Superintendent action?
Yes, I've got a
Okay.
couple. We did the first one, 15A, before the consent agenda. My next is a request to approve the co-curricular club. It is a flag football club for our middle schoolers.
I think that is really cool. Okay, motion to approve the club. Let's go with Kelly and second Kim. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? 9-0.
And my second item is another memorandum of agreement. And this one, be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute the proposed memorandum of agreement between the Guilderland Support Staff Association and Guilderland CSD.
Okay, motion to approve the MOA. Let's go with Tara and then Katie. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Passes 9-0. Wow, I have a lot of, okay, so board president action.
That's all one big.
I think I can just say, right, all of them at once?
You can do all the policies at once.
Excellent. Motion to, this isn't read, this is action. Okay.
Yes.
Motion to accept, approve all of these things that we have here. A through.
Used to say A through something. It
A
doesn't.
through something. There's several. I think you will see them, so
They're
it's.
numbered.
Oh, they're numbered, so like 0115 through 8130. Okay, Katie.
Not really.
Second, Kelly. Any questions or comments? We already saw them, so we should be good. Okay, any, all those in favor? 9-0. And then board committee reports. Let's start with audit.
We haven't met since our last meeting, and I don't think we have a meeting scheduled.
Okay. Business practices.
We're going to schedule a meeting very, very soon.
Okay. Yes, you are, right? Because we just referred it back to you. Communications.
We have not met since the last time
Last
we
time.
were together.
We did meet kind of soon, in all fairness, or like
Yeah.
relatively soon ago. Okay. DEI is
Tomorrow.
And policy?
I know we have a meeting scheduled. I'm trying to pull it up. I think it's like the 17th, but we haven't met since our last meeting.
Okay. Great. And now we are on to public comment section 2. Does anyone in the crowd have a public comment in person? No. Okay. So then I'm going to make my way back up. Bear with me. To the public comments. And I'm just going to go through part of the 25 that we had. Can somebody watch the time? I just want to make sure. Okay, so we're going to start with one submitted by Kristen Hartnett. Did you just see what happened?
Yes, I did.
Technical difficulties, one moment.
Oh, so it's not
Did you see what just happened?
Was it?
Did we lose like Wi-Fi?
I still have mine.
Was it public comment number 1?
Yeah.
Let's read off of mine.
What number is
Are you
it?
gonna-
It's 1. Here.
Number 1?
It's number 1.
That was so weird. Okay. Hold on. That was crazy. I think I can pull it back up. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Jeez. All right. From Kristen Hartnett. Dear Board of Education members, I request that this letter be entered into public comment during the March 25th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. For the past 6 years, I have been fortunate to work for the Guilderland Central School District. 5 of those years, I have been a first grade teacher at Pine Bush Elementary School. In those 5 years as a first grade teacher, I have been fortunate to work very closely with my teaching assistant. The 3 hours of daily teaching assistant support that has been provided to my classroom has been critical to the success of my students and important in providing consistency through classroom management routines. Just a moment. Okay. Linda, when you're updating, it's flashing in front of my public comments, the voting results, for some reason.
Yeah, same.
Sorry.
it on mine.
Okay.
It's been doing it on mine for a
Yes,
little bit.
so sorry. Okay. Working alongside a teaching assistant has allowed us to work more closely with students through one-on-one moments and small group activities. First grade readers and writers range in their abilities and require much differentiation to meet the grade level standards. As 6 and 7-year-olds, many academic expectations are placed on those young children. My goal as an educator is to help young children feel successful in building them up as confident readers and writers for their lifelong academic journey ahead. I cannot do this alone. With a teaching assistant present, I am able to plan literacy-based activities where students are able to practice word study skills and reading strategies at their present level of performance within a smaller setting. Differentiation is made possible when extra support is provided within the classroom. When a teaching assistant is not present during literacy small group instruction time, struggling students are left to complete work independently. Struggling readers and writers being left to sit at a center or desk without support during guided reading group time is not a meaningful or useful time of the teaching day for those students. Without the support of a teaching assistant during this important reading and writing time, we are doing a disservice to our Pine Bush Elementary students. It is also worth noting that in addition to the teaching assistants being removed from our classrooms, our Pine Bush school community is also losing one section of first grade, therefore increasing our class sizes, and is also losing a reading teacher position for the upcoming school year. More students per classroom plus less help does not lead to increased confidence and success for young children as growing readers and writers. As stated through the Guilderland District website, Pine Bush Elementary School is a unique, caring learning community that fosters individual growth in all children. We are dedicated to empower all students with the understanding that learning is a lifelong process. Let's continue to keep this vision in mind for the upcoming first grade students. These young children need all of the support that we as a district can provide. Let's continue to build skills and confidence for our young children while on the path to success as lifelong learners. Please consider keeping first grade teaching assistants for our students. Best regards, Kristen Hartnett. Okay. I'm going to go on to public comment number 2, which is very small print. I am trying. Okay. Oh, thank goodness. It was like a 6-point font. Dear Board of Education members, I request that this letter be entered into public comment during the March 25th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. I support the first grade classrooms keeping 3-hour teaching assistants in their rooms. Teaching assistants are an important piece of our early childhood education. I have taught kindergarten and first grade in the Guilderland Central School District since 2000. Over the years, I have been fortunate to have been supported by many amazing teaching assistants. The teaching assistants in our school are very important in helping the teachers to assist our youngest learners. They work with small groups or individuals on academics. This allows more students to have contact time with an adult as they work to increase academic skills. Students are more confident and able to make gains with an extra adult working with them. They also help with small issues that arise for individuals during whole class lessons so that the teacher can continue with the lesson without interruption. Another important role of teaching assistants at the primary level is helping with safety. Students at this age may not be ready to navigate the school independently. When they need the nurse, office, or help getting somewhere, a teaching assistant can help them. Also, when a child is having difficulty regulating their emotions, a teaching assistant can help calm the child so that the class can continue learning. They may be able to solve the issue or take them for a walk to calm down. We have a shortage of substitute teachers at the elementary level. Teaching assistants often help in these situations and lead the class when they are unable to find a substitute. Having fewer teaching assistants will cause further difficulty filling these vacancies. Teaching assistants play an important role at the primary level in our district. They help teachers with academics, safety, and help with the daily functioning of the classroom and school. We are very fortunate to have these dedicated individuals working with us. I support keeping the teaching assistants in the first grade classroom. Sincerely, April Kearns.
Excuse me.
Okay. Let's see here. And then we'll move on to public comment number 3. Okay. Dear Board of Education members, I request that this letter be entered into public comment during the March 25th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. We are writing this letter in support of keeping first grade teaching assistants. First grade teaching assistants play a vital role in our program, significantly supporting the academic growth of our students. As kindergarten teachers, we understand that our youngest learners need support academically, socially, and emotionally as they transition into first grade. In first grade, the academic demands increase and students often struggle with independence and stamina. Teaching assistants play a crucial role in differentiating instruction by working with small groups, providing Tier 1 and Tier 2 support, and ensuring that our most struggling students can engage with an advanced curriculum while the teacher leads whole classroom instruction. They also reinforce fundamental skills to build student confidence. Additionally, many students rely on TAs for essential academic support, including our growing ENL population. Beyond academics, TAs assist with emotional regulation and ensuring students feel supported throughout the school day. They also contribute to student safety by helping them navigate the school environment to foster independence. Furthermore, TAs provide critical classroom support for students with IEPs when the special ed teacher is working in a different classroom. TAs frequently help with classroom management as well as having to teach the class. For example, while the teacher is supporting a student who is struggling with self-regulation, the TA may take over the lesson. This makes them an invaluable resource in maintaining a stable and effective learning environment. A strong foundation in first grade is essential for future academic success. We firmly believe that eliminating first grade teaching assistants would have a negative impact on our young learners during this crucial stage of their education, leading to long-term consequences. Sincerely, GES Kindergarten Team, Dawn Nagel, Heather Kopel, Jean Berry, Kara Makowski, and Riva Kinley or Canali. Thank you very much for your public comment. How are we doing on time?
We got about 7 minutes.
Okay. I'm trying to get as many in as I can, in case you can't tell. I'm trying to read them quickly. Okay. That was 3. We'll do 4. Oh, boy. That's like a 6-point font. Okay. This is from Joy Dalaba. Dear Board of Education members, I request that this letter be entered into public comment during the March 25th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. I have been a teacher at Pine Bush Elementary School for over 25 years, and I have worked in both kindergarten and first grade. I have been fortunate to have the opportunity to work closely with a number of teaching assistants during this time. I am currently teaching first grade, and the hours of TA time that are allotted to first grade are extremely important for the success of my students and the class as a whole. First grade students have a wide variety of abilities and skills. Having a teaching assistant in the classroom allows the teacher to plan and carry out lessons that are specifically designed for smaller groups of students. Teachers can differentiate instruction and help students be more successful with these lessons that are matched to their abilities. Teaching assistants can provide support for struggling students and help them to better access the first grade curriculum. They can reinforce skills which have been taught in class and provide support with learning games and centers. Teaching assistants help students gain independence, which allows them to participate successfully in their classroom environment. Without teaching assistants, struggling students may be left trying to complete work on their own. This may lead to frustration and possible behavioral issues. First grade students may need support with emotional regulation throughout the day. Teaching assistants can provide a calm and supportive environment where a student can access help and support as needed. They may help a student feel safe by helping them talk through a situation or helping them with calming techniques. Teaching assistants are also able to help keep students safe. They help during emergency drills such as bus drills, fire drills, and lockdown drills, providing extra support for students who may need it. Teaching assistants also provide extra help with students who have medical needs that may require visits to the school nurse, as well as social emotional ones. In conclusion, I believe that the first grade teaching assistants are a very important part of our school community. We strive to provide a welcoming environment where students feel empowered and valued, and teaching assistants are an integral part of this community. I respectfully ask that the Board of Education, to consider keeping teaching assistants in the first grade classroom. Sincerely, Joy Dalba. And that one got me emotional because she was a teacher for both of my children that went through Pine Bush, and everything she said in her letter, I can confirm is true. Okay. So thank you, Ms. Dalba. Do we have time for another one?
Yep.
Okay. Dear Board of Education members, I request that this letter be entered into public comment during the March 25th Board of Education meeting. I am ready to express my strong support for maintaining the position of teaching assistants, TAs, in our first grade classrooms. As an educator with 24 years of experience, I have witnessed firsthand the invaluable role that these professionals play in our students' academic and personal growth. Our first grade TAs contribute significantly to our educational environment in the following ways. 1, differentiated instruction, facilitate small group sessions, provide Tier 1 and Tier 2 support, assist lower performing students in accessing curriculum. 2, basic skill development, reinforce letter identification, letter sounds, and high frequency words. Reinforce number identification, numeral writing, basic math skills, and math fact fluency. Bridge gaps often missed by specialist teachers due to limited resources. 3, emotional support and confidence building. Help regulate student emotions. foster academic confidence, allowing students to celebrate achievements with peers. 4, safety and logistics. Assist with drills, bus, fire, lockdown, accompany students to the nurse's office, guide students around the school, help with locker organization and access, support during classroom evacuations due to behavioral issues. 5, flexibility in staffing. Often serve as substitute teachers when needed. The multifaceted support provided by our TAs is crucial for creating a nurturing, safe, and effective learning environment for our youngest children. Their presence allows classroom teachers to focus on delivering high-quality instruction while ensuring that the individual students' needs are met. In conclusion, I strongly urge the board to recognize the essential role of first-grade teaching assistants and to continue supporting these positions. Their contributions are vital to the academic success, emotional well-being, and safety of our students. Thank you for your time and consideration of this important matter. Best regards, Lindsay Farnioli. Was that 15?
1 minute.
We got 1 minute? I'm going to squeeze one more in. If I can see it. All right. My name is Meredith Schaefer. I teach kindergarten at Pine Bush Elementary School and am also a parent of 2 children in the Guilderland school system. I write to urge you to reconsider the suggestion for not filling the retiring teaching assistant positions. Cutting first grade teaching assistants will negatively impact students not only in first grade, but exponentially for those students who need the support in years to come. Early intervention in young learners is widely recognized as one of the most effective strategies for improving long-term educational outcomes. First grade is an incredibly important year in a child's timeline of literacy and numeracy development. Guilderland teachers use a small group structure that target instruction for their students. Small groups make it possible to be responsive and meet each child where he or she is. Who's doing that? Okay. When this structure of learning is in place, the other students must be working on independent tasks. Example, reading centers, math centers. Independent work for young learners has become increasingly difficult in the past years because many students are showing executive functioning challenges and need more support than simply one classroom teacher in order to get through the day. Teaching assistants play a crucial role in supporting students with executive functioning challenges such as cognitive flexibility, adapting to change, inhibition control, resisting impulses and distractions, and task initiation and completion and emotional regulation. The support is essential to our programming and safety and well-being in Guilderland, not only for the individual child, but for the group. Without a teaching assistant to provide support, the teacher must constantly stop instruction to manage behaviors, redirect students, or assist with health and safety needs, ultimately preventing effective teaching and learning for the entire class. When early intervention is not provided, gaps in learning and development widen over time, leading to increased academic struggles, behavioral challenges, and a higher likelihood of requiring more interventions in later grades. By investing in early support, teaching assistants, schools set students on a trajectory for greater achievement, confidence, and independence. In short, teaching assistant support is not just beneficial, it is essential to ensuring equitable opportunities and long-term success for all students. Please reconsider the suggestion that first grade teaching assistants will be cut across the district. Sincerely, Meredith Schaefer, kindergarten teacher and parent at Pine Bush Elementary School. Okay, so thank you to everyone who wrote in. We do read every single comment that you submit, and so even though we didn't get to all of them today, know that the Board of Education has read them all, and they will be available online or are available online as part of the agenda if the public would like to read all of them. Again, of all the 25 were either about the teaching assistants, which thankfully you were able to address after a lot of hard work, and also the smaller class size or the increased class size in Altamont Elementary. Okay, and so with that, we will move on to, what comes next? Is it ideas? Board issues, ideas, and sharing. Meredith.
I have an issue.
Okay.
I wrote a statement, so I'm going to be reading it.
Okay.
So a few weeks ago, my mother and I went to see the spring musical at Guilderland High School, and we were absolutely blown away by the performances and the direction of the play. It was obvious how much incredible hard work went into every aspect of making it an unforgettable production. However, as a Jewish individual, I found some of the characters in this particular musical highly problematic. When we grow up out of the conditioning to see problems with certain tropes, they aren't always initially obvious to us. Unfortunately, that means certain problematic stereotypes can get by us, and I believe that's what happened here. The fix for this issue is in revisions to the process. We have a DEI committee in this district. My proposal to reduce the possibility of this occurring in the future is to have a committee that looks over the musical choices and attempts to recognize these tropes and stereotypes in future musical selections. I propose a committee with a student, a district staff member, and a DEI committee member that can look through the possible selections and discuss possible issues with each one.
I just want to add to that. So, yeah, I agree. I also saw the musical, and not to take away from the work that was put in by everybody involved, but it clearly did contain stereotypes, anti-Semitic stereotypes in the plot line, in the storyline, in the characters, and just to quote from No Place for Hate, it says, "We must never normalize even seemingly harmless forms of hate-based prejudice. This is what strengthens dangerous social attitudes which can erode the values of even the most just society. Silence and complacency in the face of biased remarks or actions permit others to internalize harmful messages, making such messages commonplace." And what this means is, and what often happens with anti-Semitism specifically, is it becomes commonplace, it becomes something that's overlooked, and I feel that, to speak to the portrayal is one point, but the other point that you made, Meredith, that a solution is an excellent one, and I definitely think that we need to re-examine the way we make decisions for the shows. I think that there needs to be an oversight or some other way of there could be suggestions made, and whether it's a committee or whether it's another way of overseeing that to ensure that no groups are marginalized or negatively portrayed. But I do think that there were stereotypical aspects that were part of the show. I agree.
Are there any other comments? Okay. So I am not Jewish, but I did also experience what you did, what you both did, and that was a difficult moment. I am a proponent of student involvement in the musical selection. I think some other schools do that, so that sounds like a good idea. Marie, what is the appropriate venue for further discussion on that possibility?
Well, you've planted the seed. Why don't we work with the high school team to come up with a plan?
Okay. I would like to add that I also found some of the themes around the roles of women to be problematic. And I felt like the lead roles were mostly male and provided character development and opportunities for learning for the males more than for the females. And I felt like some of the female roles were misogynistic and stereotypical as well. So I will leave it at that. That doesn't mean the students didn't do a great job. My own child was in that musical, and she worked very, very hard. So that's it for me. Any other board ideas and sharing? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Back to executive session.
Oh, back to executive. Back to executive session at 9:47. Tara, second. Nina, all those in favor? Aye. 9-0.
You going across the hall?